This is kind of like a pleasant surprise because we never really have people on here about credit cards, but this has been fucking awesome. Like I guarantee you people are going to listen to this and be like, I need this right now in my life.
You definitely need it before Q4.
Welcome to Seven Figure Entrepreneur Podcast, the number one podcast bringing you behind the scenes with real online earners. No fake gurus here. And today we have the wonderful Zach Johnson. What is up, my friend? What is going on?
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, excited to be here. Have someone.
We've had so many amazing people on the show: Nick Shackelford, James Van Oaks, Adam from Get Emails. I mean. Yeah,
we've had some OGs. We also have Tyler here somewhere, but he's in Costa Rica living his best life and his Wi-Fi sucks dick. So he might show up, he might not. We don't know. We really don't know. He tries to connect multiple times, but it just goes to shit. So he might come in and give us a patchy hello, but who knows? Who knows? the number one most organized podcast on the internet. Oh, look, there he is. Switch to iPhone. Look at this guy.
That's right, baby.
The delay on that is amazing. I can't wait.
You know how it works.
So,
zig guys egg.
Yeah, your speech definitely sounds zigzaggy. So we'll see how that goes for you.
All right.
Oh man, Zach. What is going on, man? What is it that you do? We were talking a little bit about it before, but yeah, give me the rundown.
Yeah, we have a charge card for ad spend that we partnered on with MasterCard, launched it last year. And we give advertisers, affiliates, agencies 3% cash back on their Facebook and Google ad spend.
That's a lot of cake.
That's a lot of cake.
That's a lot of cake. Like when I just think about the points that we run through, what's like the best Amex card that's for like the general public with the cashback rewards?
Well, if you're like a user, an abuser of credit cards, you're probably rocking the Amex Gold 4x points up to 150,000 a year cap, and you used to kind of redeem that into like a Charles Schwab account to get a little bit multiplier, but that's kind of going away as of like last week. So yeah, and you probably, if you're an affiliate, you probably have like 10 to 20 Amex Golds, but most advertisers maybe have like one or two, and they got to chase ink, and they'll still burn through those rewards like in like a month, and then they just kind of focus on other areas of the business. So yeah, those have been the two that I'm most aware of: Amex Gold and Chase Ink.
Damn, 3% is substantial, man. Like, I think you guys are grinning. How's my sound?
No, you're good, actually. I'm actually just happy that you can have a conversation with us.
Dude, this beach life in Costa Rica.
Dude, you're getting too cocky with it. Right, leave it on your fucking face. Don't get cocky with it. What?
So going back to the Platinum Amex, because that's what we use. We actually use the Charles Schwab. That thing's going away now?
Yeah. I think August 1st, the Charles Schwab hack is gone.
Damn, so, that's too bad.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, you used to be able to go from 4x points, you'd redeem into Charles Schwab, and they'd give you a 1.25x up to 5. But yeah, that's going away.
How'd you get set up with this? The fact that you figured this out is pretty damn cool, because again, 3% is substantial.
Yeah, it's really just a set of cascading events. It all started with Funnel Dash really being a analytics company for the first couple of years, where you would pay us a SaaS fee, and it was basically like an early version of a Wicked Reports or a Hyros, where we would just tell you your payback period. We got to $1 billion in spend and on the platform, and over 5,000 ad agencies. And we were kind of just sick of diagnosing a problem and then just this moving target of like what is accurate and like what is my payback period. And so kind of my whole career, both when I had an ad agency and was a VP of marketing in a company called Lead Pages and ran marketing in a company called Entreport, I was always just trying to win budget. And I thought that the way to win budget was through analytics. and really just, we kind of got into Visa's accelerator program in Q4 2019. And we we're just like, how do we just make this thing 100% free? How do we monetize through like financial products, like multiples on revenue for SaaS, or like 6x, like in on an exit. And I saw like fintechs multiples were like 25, 50x on payments. And and so we incubated this idea of just being the default card on file for your ad spend. And we realized how little just the financial world knows about advertising. I mean, from Amex to MasterCard to Visa, it's wild how much they don't understand it. And so Visa's accelerator was kind of the place where we started learning about all things like payments and cards and interchange and cash back. And we got really lucky because they all know at a network that, it's 600 billion in ad spend globally. So they know that it's like a huge market. They know that it's the largest cardable expense for e-commerce brands. And some people say 40% of venture capital is spent on paid ads. I say 100% of venture capital is spent on paid ads. But yeah, then we got out of Visa's accelerator and then COVID hit, and MasterCard kind of showed up. And so we like kind of what you're doing. And we process 30% of global advertising. And, we have a bunch of these like incentives and marketing dollars going to travel, which is like not a thing anymore, thanks to COVID. And so we just got this amazing 5-year exclusivity deal with MasterCard to go help them win market share for digital advertising. So that's kind of the backstory and how I got into the game of credit cards.
Yeah, dude, that's insane. It kind of makes sense. It's almost like COVID was a blessing for you.
Yeah, it was. There's actually a lot of other entrepreneurs that quote unquote had the same idea that I've talked to, but like they couldn't really kind of get it off the ground because of COVID. So I feel like we've been fortunate enough to also time it right and have a really good head start. And then now, just more than ever, people are more receptive to cash back than their travel and rewards points. Like if I was to try to convince you to switch from your Amex points like 2 years ago, you would have been like, nope, I'm content and like happy. I like, and now we have so many people that are sitting on like tens of millions of points. So like, yeah, I'm just going to like get some cash and change the game. So
I'd rather have cash. I don't know, man. I feel like cash is better play.
Well, I think that the biggest selling point on why cashback over points is if you ever want to sell your business, like your points aren't really contributing like directly to that bottom line. So if you think about like if you spend 10 million a year on media and you get 3% back, yes, it's 300 grand in cash back straight to your profit. But if you're operating on like a 6 to 8x multiple on EBITDA or profit, you just boosted your valuation at exit to the tune of like 7 figures plus. So we've got a guy right now that kind of switched off of the travel points game to cash back, and he's like literally getting an extra $1 million on his exit because of that move. Now he didn't do that with us, but like he's all about the cash back as a result.
Yeah, no doubt.
What cool.
So as far as the way your system works, since it's MasterCard, it's still a credit card. And so like, how does it work for someone who's switching over? Do they have to build up credit over time, or can they just like come out of the gate guns a-blazing?
Yeah, so we have an entirely different underwriting model. So coming back to this analytics product in our early days, your FICO score isn't all that relevant to your ad spend performance like today. And
Yeah.
your 2 years tax returns aren't necessarily relevant to your ad performance today. So we start with, hey, what is your daily spend limit? Is it 10K a day? Is it 50K a day? Is it 100K a day? And what we find for kind of the largest, set of 7 and 8 figure spenders is they're paying down their Amex like every couple of days, and they're babying this thing. Like, you pay it down, they're prepaying on weekends. And so instead of us saying, hey, here's the overall dollar amount that you have for the month of August, we'll say, what's your daily spend today? And then we'll back into what terms do you qualify as a result. So if you're spending
Gotcha.
50K a day and you qualify for a $500,000 line, then you're going to get a 10-day float. If you're spending like 10K a day and you qualify for like 30K, you're going to get a 3-day float. So that helps stabilize accounts. So you never get an account shut down due to like the daily spend limits. And then we underwrite weekends, holidays differently than the entire calendar month. So your typical credit card company is they're gonna assume that you may want to carry a balance. And really, at the highest levels of media buying, you really just want throughput and volume, and you need like 48 hours to convert, and then you need like 3 days for a payout. So call it 5 days. And if you're an affiliate, you really need like maybe 7 days to get your affiliate payout. And so I would rather have higher limits with a shorter payment cycle for the higher levels of media buying than kind of what a lot of credit card companies are trying to do is like, here's, 60-day payment terms or 30 or 45 payment terms. It's sexy, but you get in the door and you realize that, hey, this is like, I'm going to burn through this limit in like 24 hours. And so we really do have like an entirely different underwriting and risk model. And I think as a result, people have been able to scale, 2, 3x, at least 2, 3x more with us faster as a result.
I find that like any media buyers have had this issue.
You kind of, go ahead.
Yeah, no, anyone who's like a media buyer has had this issue. Like there was a time where I was pushing pretty hard. I don't know how much we were spending, probably like 50K a day, give or take. And like Tyler I'd literally tell Tyler, like, go put cash in the bank right now, just fucking move that shit. So there'd be time we'd be like driving to the bank, grabbing cash from one bank, moving it to the other. Is just such a pain in the ass. But you have to when you're on like a good run and stuff's just cranking, because you'll miss that profit. So
yeah, and we actually look at it. So there's a lot of different risk models. And so this was like FICO and like credit score is something that is just so out of date. And, once you're spending more than 200-300 grand a month, like it's not all that relevant anymore. And, 2 years tax returns, again, is so behind your growth curve. It's not relevant. And so there was this case study with MasterCard of like how they introduced credit to Africa, right? Like no FICO score, no tax returns, no socials. And the way they did it was basically through a trade line risk model where they went to all the pop-up shops and corner stores in Africa, and they found there was like one dude, that would basically show up at the first week of every month with a clipboard, and like the merchant would essentially buy like $100 of supplies. And the way that they introduced credit in Africa was they digitized like 10 years of clipboard history essentially, and said, wow, this company has consistently and reliably paid this vendor $100 every single month. And so for the longest time, we were really looking at return on spend, but return on spend is so fleeting and it's up and down. And so it carries some weight. But one of the things that's actually really important to us is how long have you been advertising? And if you've had a relationship, paying the paid advertising piper bill for years, like that, it's arguably the most important trade line and line item expense that you're going to pay before everybody else and anything else. Oh. And so, yeah, we just have a totally different perspective on that, as opposed to, what's your home ownership status, and then what's your cash balance today, which is trailing, your investment in media. So
too funny. You know, what's interesting about your model, man, is like you're really solving a problem for like, I'd say very few people, but like people who understand it. Like we've had situations before. I had one bank, a Canadian bank, actually think, because like you said, they don't understand the advertising world at all. They actually thought I was funding terrorism in Eastern Europe with the amount of money that was going out.
But you probably were. But
but it's just crazy. They have literally no idea. And they're like, who are these payments going to? I'm like, you're the bank. You can see who the money is going to. And so anyways, long story short, man, it's pretty cool what you figured out. And even with Amex and stuff like that, like there's problems all the time. Like even our limit, because we spend 7 figures a month in advertising now. And like you said, we're paying this Amex every few days. We're paying like our other visas every few days. In fact, we just found another bank that will give us, 750,000 for advertising. And so we have a few million, but if a campaign blows up, we will go through it. So the problem you're solving is actually really cool in the marketplace. I'm kind of curious on how you guys make money on this.
Yeah. So there's only so much interchange to go around. And as you can imagine, 3% is the upper echelon of all that's pretty much there. And so we can't really compete by making small basis points like to the levels of scale that Amex and Capital One do. So we kind of just said, screw it, give it all away, and let's find another way to monetize. And so when you have a winning campaign, you're going to need there's your credit card money, right? Which is like stuff you can turn over. And then there's like growth capital, which is where you enter into business loans and short-term loans. Think of like a Shopify Capital or a ClearBank, where you're going to have longer than a 30-day payment cycle or 70 payment cycle, but it's going to be more of a cash infusion into the business. And so that is, the cash back on the card is basically our foot in the door. So that we don't have to do a ton of advertising. We don't have a big cost per acquisition. And we try to monetize through that. We also have a cash account. So if you're getting 0.001% APY on your your banking, like you can basically kind of put some cash reserves with us, and we'll give you a boost or a bump up in your cash back. And so there's a couple other levers that you can pull as well.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
dude. So first of all, I love this. I'm gonna sign up after, because 3% cashback's far better than I'm getting now. Second of all, I really want to touch on what you were talking about earlier in the beginning when you were mentioning kind of like the evaluations. You saw fintech companies, gain 20, 50x multiples.
Right.
That heavily weighted your decision to go down this road?
Yeah. So, my background before Funnel Dash was 10 years in software. And so your crappy software company builds, 70% margin, and on a crappy SaaS, you're going to get 3x multiple on revenue. Great. Maybe 6x. And so, I just think that SaaS was just becoming such a known multiple, and like tons of marketers that were in info are now repping SaaS products. And then, there was a little bit of like agency where it was like, why am I always the one that like has to hunt down my money? Like, do I have to get people to renew their subscription, or I have to get this client to, give me a payout, or, and justify like why people should pay me. And I just like love the idea of being the one to pay people. And it's like MasterCard pays us, and we pay you. And I just like that flow of funds better. So I think that those were kind of the one. And I just thought that willingness to pay for SaaS products was declining at a rapid rate. I mean, just look at AppSumo. Like any SaaS you're paying $2,000 a month for, you can go buy a lifetime deal on, any day of the week. So, and then really just seeing the whole reason why you want to get into SaaS is because you want elastic billing, right? Like SaaS, if it's just a fixed $99 a month, it's not really like, why do SaaS? Just do subscription. And so with elastic billing, the whole idea is that the customers that are spending $20 million a year are worth more to your business than the customers spending 20 grand a year. And when I was repping a small little analytics product, technically the people spending 20 million in media should pay more, but their willingness to pay would hit a ceiling, right? And they'd be like, yeah, I just don't want to pay that much for whatever you're doing. And so when in terms of like somebody spending 20 million a year on media, that's top line revenue that's worth at least 600 grand in revenue to the company. And then you also just look at LTVs. Like, I'll cancel a subscription product because I see it hit my bank account like every single month. Versus like, when's the last time you switched, credit cards? You've got that thing on file for 5-10 years. So the LTV on financial products is just like through the roof. So those are all the different reasons why,
man.
I wanted to.
That's pretty well thought out, though. And if anything, I think that's almost makes a good case for people to really rethink their business model. A lot of stuff you mentioned, I hadn't thought of before, but like, the fintech companies are huge right now. They're making giant waves, even with like small, thin margins.
Totally. I think one of the companies that I see doing this in the affiliate space is, it's one thing to basically get paid out like in a network, right, commission. And but it's also another thing to basically be Amazon, right? Where it's like, you're still driving the sale, but because you're processing the payments for like all of it, you operate on a different multiple. So you're still doing a lot of like the same work, driving the traffic, selling the product. But because you're in the because you're an affiliate network, you're probably worth like 1x to 2x EBITDA, like an ad agency, versus a platform that sells products that are maybe more exclusive, or find the angle that fits for your kind of platform. But like, those are operating at a much higher multiples, and it's a lot of the same flows, just a little bit of a branding positioning, and that's where you can kind of get 10 years of income, paid all at once. And so that's kind of been my big North Star, is like, how do I go sell a company, for 9-10 figures? And how do I do that with the highest leverage possible? And with the most equity in my own name and not the VC's name as possible. So
yeah, no doubt.
So yeah, when you look at it through that lens, the value is in the equity, and that was my kind of driving decision, as opposed to the value being in the income or the cash that it produces today. And don't get me wrong, like the grass is greener, like always on the other side. Like I see like my buddies that are in like 90% margin businesses. A lot of our customers are just like have insane levels of cash flow on their like affiliate businesses, and I'm just like, man, that would be so nice like right now. So but like we either like stay heads down and say win market share and be the number one charge card for digital ad spend, and that means basically being the willing the most to like pay for it and create new ways to monetize.
Is there any other companies like this? Because like I've never heard of anyone doing this.
Dude, yeah, there will be people that follow. I feel like, we are there's like Brex, Ramp, Divvy that are the more publicized like fintechs that are kind of your business corporate cards, but like they're pretty much lipstick, on a pig that's a bank behind it with a cool UI and branding and a lot of VC money. But the underwriting is relatively the same, and the risk profile is relatively the same. I think that I'm a big fan of like Prosper in Silence, but like I guarantee you there will be like other charge cards that are specifically focused on ad spend in the coming like 2-3 years.
Well, I just haven't seen it. Like, and I like, I'm pretty heavy in this space, and I don't know. Tyler, have you seen something like this before?
No, not quite like this, man. Especially what he's pointing out on the underwriting side and how they evaluate. I literally just put together a PFS, which is a personal financial statement this morning. And I have to do one pretty much every quarter because I'm always having to push up my limits with the banks every quarter. So it's like, it's when he talks about this, I literally felt this pain this morning. So it's very unique for that stage.
And I feel like, man, just like off the top of my head, the amount of guys we know that just spend such heavy volume could benefit from this so much. Like
Totally.
It's actually amazing that like, I just never heard about this till now. Like I'm sure that a lot of people will reach out to you post this podcast, which is
they should
great for everyone. Yeah.
We have, if you spend over 10 mil, we have a black diamond card. We pull it out. I don't know if you guys can see this, but you have these dots right here. This is $1,000 of diamonds. We literally hire a jeweler to come to our card manufacturer.
Really?
Yeah,
dude.
It's
how do the Morrisons not have 20 of those?
They were the first people I thought of, and I was like, man, those motherfuckers are going to be on here being like, we need those now.
So MasterCard was like, you can print cards and manufacture cards for like far less than $1,000. And I was like, yeah, but they spend like 10 million on card.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay, we see what you're doing here. And so we had to actually go, so we couldn't actually do a plastic card. We couldn't actually even do like a titanium card. We had to do a bronze card because it's basically soft enough to encrust $1,000 worth of diamonds on it. So
that's cool.
When you get this, it is it's the most ludicrously like expensive card you'll ever feel. It probably weighs 2 to 3 times more like any Amex card in your wallet right now. And it is, it's the ultimate flex. Like we were at Affiliate Summit East at the end of July, and it was cool just going to some meetups. People are like whipping it out and they're like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like your black diamond status. So I hope that it turns into something of the effect of like a, just more of a, hopefully a status symbol for media buyers that they can like be validated that like I legitimately am spending like 8 figures. I
think like even the black card, man, people still flex with that a lot. So this is like next level, especially with some diamonds in it. Like,
dude, the diamonds are so over the top.
Dude, it's so worth it though. I love it.
Yeah.
I want one.
And it makes total sense for our industry.
100%, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, we've had a lot of fun with that. But I don't know what else should we talk about?
Dude, I'm curious to see what the $100 million card is going to look like.
Yeah, can you imagine how many diamonds could we even put on a $100 million card? But we're trying to get somebody on the platform right now that spends $300 million a year on media.
Shit.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming, and like this wasn't said, but I'm just going to assume that you guys can make cards in anyone's name on your team. You can do whatever you need to do. Cause like, the Facebook game with renting accounts and everything like that. So
yes. So this is where we crush creating stability in your spend. So if you have an Amex, you put that on a Facebook, Google. Amex has a relationship with these networks where they're doing the authorization at the account level. So even though you may have an employee card that, says Zach Johnson, the account might be under Tyler, right? And so they're going to see that discrepancy, and that creates a red flag from a payment perspective. Second thing is the address on file with the network should be the same address on file with the card. And if your account authorization, address is hundreds of miles away, thousands of miles away from like the address you have on file with the network, which is also different from the IP address that you're logging into, you're creating just payment risk, right? So you could run your account totally legit but like your payments are sending all kinds of red flags for fraud or high risk payments and still get shut down. So what we do is we do the authorization at the card level, not the account level. And that then allows you to create unlimited virtual cards instantly within the system. And you can use any name, any address, and any zip code with each unique card number so that you can have 100% congruency with what's on file with each of the networks.
Makes sense.
Dude, that's amazing. Tyler, we need to switch our shit.
The other thing that we do,
bro.
The other thing that we do is some networks prefer certain bins, right? So all of these different cards are issued on maybe consumer bins or commercial bins or small business bins or prepaid bins, all kinds of different bins. And so when you create a card, you're going to tell us exactly where you're spending. So is this card going on file with Facebook or Google or Taboola or Outbrain? And that way we can do the proper bin routing and matching so that the network doesn't reject any of the bins. If you've ever put like a card on file and it just kind of gets rejected like right away.
Dude, I had 2 last month that did that. I was like, what the fuck?
Great.
These are brand new cards.
Yeah.
Anyway,
exactly.
Dude, that's amazing. You've thought of everything.
I hope so. We're still learning a ton. But like we understand the performance marketing use case really well. I think if you look at the 250 billion in ad spend in the US, 90 billion is managed by agencies, and more of that is getting pushed into performance. And these are people that just like have these serious like pains. And I think when you combine that with the fact that like, even if I solved all these problems for you, like you probably still wouldn't switch if I couldn't win on cash back.
Yeah.
It's like nobody, like if I did all of this for you, but I said you get 1% cash back, you'd be like, oh, fine, I'll just deal with all my problems.
Yeah.
So we just know
huge.
Yeah. We just know that we have to win there.
Yeah. It's genius, man. Tyler, how you doing down there? I think you're frozen on an interesting face there. He is come and gone. Something is given up. We're not quite sure what. But what's your future plans for the company? Do you have anything cool that you're working on that's coming out soon?
We just bought the brand Dashfy, so we're kind of rebranding all of like Funnel Dash and AdCard into a sexier fintech name that you'll see in the next couple months.
What's Funnel Dash?
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're trying to get away from.
Exactly. Well, dude, I didn't know about this credit card system either. Like, I feel like I'm in the dark. It's funny. Like, if something's not directly in front of you or you're not heavily advertised for it, you just don't know, man. So
yeah. So we're gonna clean up the brands. Tyler's asking, when I send in a payment, how fast does it get applied?
Question, actually.
Can I mute him?
When am I?
No, I guess I can't. I don't know.
He's going for it. He's going for it. Well, Tyler, I think you're a piece.
He's gone. So it's me and you. But I think it's a good question. When I send in a payment, how fast does it get applied to the account?
It's smart. A really good question. A lot of credit card companies will do 7, as even high as 14-day, what's called payment holds. So if you ever make a payment and it says, credit limit versus like available balance, there's like a delta of when that's going to get applied.
It's so annoying.
Yeah. So that we don't do that. Basically your payment is instant. And so you're not going to experience any of these like hold periods where you can't, spend on card, get throughput. and then have to, because like ultimately what we want is we want to win market share. And like the thing that we're basically always trying to think about is how do you not have to worry about rotating in cards? And it's like, if you can just put the card on file and like let it fly, and we're keeping up, with the pace, and we're finding other creative ways to manage risk than some of the things that just don't work for this industry, like payment holds, like FICO score, like these, personal, financial statements. There are other ways to de-risk the relationship. So
yeah. And I mean, like on your point of switching out cards, man, like and I'm sure you know this, but for other people who don't know, on Facebook, it's just so unsafe to switch out cards. Like you can just flag the account, get it all taken down, especially when you're spending heavy and you have a campaign that's working really well, so you don't want to poke the bear, and the bear is Facebook, and it's always angry. So you just let it be. Don't fuck with shit and it'll be okay. So that's huge, man.
We had an affiliate spending $200K a day on all Amex employee cards, and he had about 20 accounts. And so he probably had an account with us for a good month and a half to 2 months. He was just so scared. And I was like, dude, just like put one, like what is your lowest spending account? Just put one card, like walking all the way through it. And like, one of the biggest things I hear after people have been using the card for a month or 2 months is how much it's stabilized their spend. And so, then over the next, basically the month, he switched over everything to the card, and none of his accounts got shut down or, even paused for that matter. So
that's amazing. Yeah, it's such a huge thing, man, not messing with your accounts or messing with your payments on the accounts. I've lost so many accounts that way, just like, switching from like Chase to Amex to back to Chase because a payment hit, and just,
right.
The struggle.
And if you think about also just how difficult it is for some of these old school credit card companies, like they don't know what to do with the like literally $900 like transactions and like that level of like card activity, with those peaks and those volumes. When you're mixing in that spend with your like general purpose charge card, it's like, okay, cool. They're spending like 50 grand a month on like software stuff and it's been stable, but it's like, bam, wow, they wanted to spend a lot on Sunday. And so we by being kind of a pure charge card for ad spend, we get to monitor that spend almost exclusively. And so that behavior doesn't necessarily get muddled in with other types of expenses that just look and feel differently. So
very cool. Very, very cool.
So when you guys, I have a question, like when you guys how do you guys handle payouts? Or like one of the things that, and I guess, do you guys run your own processing? So if you're running your own processing, do you get real-time payouts, or are you just trying to negotiate, payouts from networks like every couple of days?
So it depends how much volume we're running. We just generally get paid net 7 for most people. Just straight up wire transfer kind of deal. On the offers we own, I don't fully know how we get paid out with that, and what the term is on that. I kind of focus more on the media buy side, and Tyler handles the financial stuff. So it makes my life a lot easier.
Even on net 7, right? If you think about net 7 getting paid out, there's still a bit of a delay there from the time that the card company actually gets the payment. And if you have a 7-day payment hold, I mean, you're actually cycling through that money every 14 days. Which is
so difficult. When we do hit, like when we start hitting serious volume, we will get paid out like every 2 to 3 days. We can negotiate that, but I feel like you got to be pushing some pretty serious volume for that. But the networks, like if they want the traffic, they'll pay it. So
yeah.
But it is a game, man. It's a huge management game when it comes to dealing with card spend and payouts, unless you have a huge float.
Which nobody does. I really, think that like even on Amex, you're after 500,000, you're getting into manual review territory. And, in the performance marketing space, like, they don't see you as stable businesses. They're like, oh, these guys have like 20 entities, 5 business partners.
Yeah.
And like, there's just like no, corporate presence online for like these guys like running these huge offers and spend. I mean, it's you have to know exactly where to like dig in and look. And I think that, I think it's a huge segment. And I think even you just look at some of the communities, right? Like some of the Facebook groups or even some of the companies that exist today, they all kind of brag of like, hey, our community is $1 billion in revenue, or, our community collectively does 5 billion in revenue or 100 million. And like, that ad spend is representative of 30 to 50% of that revenue. And it's like, I could name at least a dozen communities or influencers or podcasts where their audience represents $1 billion in revenue. And it's just like, there's just been a lot of attention of like monetizing payments on like checkouts and platforms and, conversions. But really not a lot of products on like the other side of payments, by putting a card in the hands and, credit and all that jazz.
Yeah. Well, you definitely solved a fucking serious problem, my friend.
It's a pain in the ass. All right. So I have another question for you. What do you guys do, when it comes to like your cash, like management? Do you think about just keeping up like XYZ cash reserves in the business for like a certain amount of months? Do you just like yank it all out, pay yourself like 100%? Do you buy all the Bitcoin in the world, like the company level? Like no, or do you just kind of all keep it in like a lame like treasury account, like a Bank of America? And
we just pay ourselves like a salary and keep like a big float, just because you never know when the time comes when you're going to hit that. You're going to have to hit that hard. But we have like most of our credit pretty jacked up in terms of, like Tyler was saying, we have a high level of credit on tap just in case we do have to scale. But yeah, we also keep a fairly decent cash reserve at most times. So
yeah, I think that's good. I mean, think about like most small businesses have like 2 weeks at best, in terms of like cash reserves and in terms of like 2 weeks of payroll. Not much, cash reserves on hand. And I think that, the next big thing that we want to think about is nobody really thinks about like their cash reserves and like how their APY and their treasury like functions like are really helping their business. But yeah, I think the next product for us is going to be just a cash account where you can, spend and save with us, have your cash reserves with us, which is going to allow us to kind of de-risk, but maybe we can even juice up cash back a little bit more.
Yeah. So you're just turning into like a little bank, hey?
Dude, you can call me 3% Zach. And I think, that's kind of our whole goal is to be a vertical bank for the advertising. I guess just digitally first businesses that spend a shit ton on ads, right?
You guys need t-shirts that just say 3% on them.
3%.
Yeah. Just wear them to like affiliate summit, just walk around like, oh, the 3% guys. 3%. I like it.
Yeah. We did a ton of testing on like all the numbers, man. We did like 2.5 and 2.6. And we even like played with a ton of stuff in like the 4, 5, 6 range, but with like a bunch of caveats and fine print. And it just seems like that 3 number is like when it just was like easy for everybody to understand. We didn't have to like have a bunch of like fine print to, to kind of protect ourselves. So it's funny how like that number, like this was like the first pricing experience in my life where that number like really mattered. Like when I was selling stuff, it was like, well, should I sell for like 97 or 99? Should I sell for like 197 or like 49? And it was all arbitrary, like every single time in every pricing experience that like boosted, like it was a bit of a guess, like every single time.
For sure.
But here it was just like, it was so crazy to just see how huge of a difference it was when we said, hey, let's like actually opt in for like some clean stuff instead of like 20% cash back up to $1,000.
Yeah. Nobody likes that shit. I just like simple, flat, simple, this is what I'm getting. I don't got to fuck around past this.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So you got a podcast as well?
Yes, is called the Rich Ad Poor Ad podcast.
What do you guys talk about?
It's basically a play off the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it's bridging the world of finance and advertising. So we ask every guest 3 questions. What's your rich ad? Which is what's working now. What's your poor ad? Something you thought was going to work that totally bombed. And then, financial principle or hack on how you've, scaled the business. So do you need like a ton of cash on hand, or do you have like huge credit lines? Do you, are you big like VC guy, a loan guy, or you're just like, Mr. Dave Ramsey, debit card, everything. Right. So that's like the last question. And it's been good. A lot of the guests on the show are 7- and 8-figure advertisers.
Very cool.
And yeah, I think like, the rich ad segment is obviously the most fun. I've been changing it up, the definition of rich ad, like recently. It's like what working. I kind of don't really care about what's working now anymore. I just want to know like what is like, what's been working for you the longest.
That's a better question for sure.
Yeah, like the stuff that's probably working for you today isn't probably going to work like next week or next month, right? And it's so, like,
dude, like on that point, like I kind of disagree. So sure, like in terms of like from a creative standpoint, I feel like you're always testing new creatives.
Yeah.
But then I always find that, well, I shouldn't say always, but a majority of the time, the copy that you were using 12 months ago still fucking works. You may just have to twist it up a little bit. So Facebook thinks it's new copy, but at the end of the day, the backbones of it, it's all the exact same shit.
Dude, go on YouTube. I just bought a mattress. I just upgraded my whole sleep stack, right? And
nice. What'd you get?
I got Tempur-Pedic, dude. Everybody goes Tempur-Pedic like all day, every day.
Dude, I went natural latex. I just switched.
You did
this whole thing. Are you thinking about 8 Sleep?
I checked it out. But go look at Tempur-Pedic's advertisements from 10 years ago. Yeah. Go on YouTube. It's the same pitch. Hey, you're not going to feel your partner like move on their side. They did the whole wine glass thing. Hey, this foam is going to keep you cooler at night. Now we're just like finding new ways to like keep you cool, and the mechanism is like it's like changed. But like I just bought the same mattress. It's like 8 degrees cooler, the Lux Breeze or whatever, and they were like pitching like, no, this is the better mattress that's going to keep you cooler at night, like 10 years ago.
It's probably the same mattress, just with a different like cover on it.
It is, dude. And if you look at like Tempur-Pedic's, like all their different names, I mean, it's like all iterations off of each other. And they like publish less and less about like what it's made. Like every single year, like it's so difficult. So I don't know. I 100% agree. When it comes to messaging, it's like all about like what's lasted the longest. The difference on the creative is like you have 10 years ago on a Tempur-Pedic, like YouTube, you've got a guy with like a microphone that's like in a convention center walking around, got a group of people, and he's jumping on the mattress, and the cuts are like, there are no cuts. It's like a straight like 2-minute roll. And then from a creative standpoint, the messaging is like all relatively the same, but now the cuts are like 3 seconds.
Yeah. Just attention span's not there anymore.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to make bust out the rich ad segments of like 2 parts. So what's been working for you the longest and what's working for you right now?
Dude, how's your sleeps?
It sucks lately.
Really?
Yeah.
Mattress didn't help?
Yeah, man. I just like fell into all the traps, man. I was like, oh, an extra $1,000 for auto snore detect. You'll lift my head up for me just like automatically. That sounds amazing. Does it need to be integrated with Alexa? Does Alexa need to know when I wake up? Yeah, that would be nice to have my coffee made. Oh, and like, oh yeah, man. I bought everything that they sold me. But we'll see, man. It all shows up next week. I'll let you know if all gets resolved.
I hope so, man. We just switched to a natural latex mattress, and it was like a fucking struggle because you can like mix and match the pieces and the bases and stuff, and
Yeah.
finally just got it dialed in. Like I've had it for probably month and a half now, and I'm just starting to have good sleeps because I finally got the right combo to work for me.
You're like the guy that like takes everybody up on their like 90-day sleep guarantee. You've been like swapping in and out for like 6 years.
Well, yeah, no, it's a local company, and they tell you, they're just like, what you sleep on in our showroom is not going to be the same. Like, so you just kind of have to guess.
Crazy.
It's terrible, but we're there. We're there.
You're dialed. All right, man. Send some affiliate links. Send me some links.
Yeah. All right, man. So what's the best way for people to find you? Give us all the goods, and we'll also include it in the links in the description here to make it easy.
Yeah.
But, hit us.
Yeah, just shoot me a text. Hit me up on Facebook, or email me. It's just zach@funneldash.com. 805-826-3274. Shoot me a text if you want to chat. And facebook.com/Zach Johnson. That's me. You can learn more about the charge card for ad spend at funneldash.com. Soon to be dash.fi, which I'm pretty excited about. Yeah, that's my stick. And then check out the podcast. That's on iTunes and Spotify. Just Rich Ed, Poor Ed.
Nice. We will we'll plug in those links below and make it easy for everyone. But I really think that you should change your name to 3% FI. I don't know. I'm just going to put that out there, But
that's awesome. I love it. Well, thanks for having me, man. Super fun. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's been a blast, man. And this is kind of like a pleasant surprise because we never really have people on here about credit cards, but this has been fucking awesome. Like I guarantee you people are going to listen to this and be like, I need this right now in my life.
You definitely need it before Q4. So
yes, agreed. All right. Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening today. For everyone watching, please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube. And for everyone listening, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Tell your mom, tell your friends, tell everybody. All right. We will see you on the next one, guys. Later.